Hello everyone. Thanks for joining today. Today we're going to talk a bit about ouds, so if you guys have questions about ouds, please let me know. Happy to answer any questions, talk about the ouds I have. I'll talk about how I got into the oud, how I bought my first oud, all these kind of things. So yeah, ask me anything about that stuff. I'm going to hear some music first on my Turkish Yıldırım Arabic Oud. Let's get into it. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how I got into the oud. I got into the oud back around 1997, but I couldn't find an oud back then. It was really hard with limited internet that we had back then, limited resources. It was virtually impossible to find an oud back in those days, especially for somebody living in Canada. No access to Arab community, Turkish community. Back in those times, Iranians weren't playing much oud either. Still wasn't that popular of an instrument in Iran, so it was very difficult for me to get into the oud. Finally, I was able to convince my friend's mom to bring me back an oud from Iran. And that was quite an ordeal for her to bring me back an oud. She took her a long time to even find a decent oud. And it didn't turn out to be a decent oud at all. It actually turned out to be quite poorly crafted oud. The pegs were just horrible. They were always stuck. They had like a very thick polyurethane kind of coating on them. They didn't want to move. The action was quite bad. You know, it was really hard to hit the strings and hit the notes, press down on the strings and get the right note. The soundboard was cracked in a couple places. But that was the first oud that I learned on. That I took to my first oud lesson with Hossein Behrzania back when he lived in North Vancouver. And so yeah, that was how I got into the oud. I played that oud to every degree that I could manage, maybe for about 6 months to a year. And then by luck, by chance, Behrzania was able to find an oud for me that one of his other students were selling. It turned out to be an Iranian barbat, so a little bit different design. Barbat is a smaller bowl, a little bit longer neck in that the bowl is smaller, so the joint comes up to the A note here. On ouds, the note at the neck joint is G up here, but barbats, they go up to A, so that you have a little bit more access to the higher range. So barbat is a little smaller instrument, different tone, different kind of thing. Then I played that for a while, but that oud wasn't in great shape either. The pegs were amazing. The pegs were so smooth. I really enjoyed that oud for the time that I had it. And then I finally decided, you know, I got to get myself a legitimate Arabic style oud. So I did a lot of research online. By that time, it was around 2006, 2007 that I was looking for an Arabic oud online. I found Dimitri Rapakousios, and I ended up ordering an oud from him. Now, I was new to buying an oud online, so it was quite risky at the time. You know, I didn't know anything about the maker really, but I did notice that a lot of famous musicians were using his instruments, like Ross Daly, for example. I emailed Ross and asked him what he thought about Dimitri's ouds and his luthiership and his craftsmanship, and he said, you know, I give you my highest recommendation. He's great. So I ended up ordering an oud online with Dimitri, and then I was going to travel to Greece, to Athens, and pick it up, and I did, and it was a wonderful experience, and I still have that oud today. It's not with me in Japan right now, but it is in Canada, waiting for a time that I can go back and pick it up and bring it back here. So yeah, I really love that oud. I've had that oud since 2007, and it's been amazing. It's been through a lot of bumps, and it's had its own damages happen to it, but the whole time the action has never changed. So I really loved the way that oud was built. It was just all around great oud. Later on, I ended up getting in partnership with Yildirim Arabic Ouds. I ended up getting this oud made for me, and this oud has been serving me for the last 3 years. Just amazing craftsmanship. And so this is my Yildirim oud. It is a bit shorter scale. It's adaptable to Turkish or Arabic tuning. You just need to change the strings. Right now I've got a mix of strings on there. I've got Arabic treble strings here for C and G, and then I've got the Dario Turkish strings, because those strings are pretty high tension, so they're pretty comfortable in the Arabic tuning. So I like the sound of it. It's very warm. So yeah, that is the Yildirim Arabic Oud. This is a Wenge back, and then I think it's got maple spacers here. Wenge neck, nice little design on the back of the neck there too. You can see that, looks beautiful. Great craftsmanship, ebony pegs, ebony fingerboard, very nice and glides along smoothly. You can play really fast on ebony fingerboards. It's got a cedar top. And this one, luckily enough, it's match booked, so you can barely see where they've put together the woods. Usually they're going to be like made out of 2 to 4 different pieces of woods that they put together and create the soundboard. This oud, great action, of course. It's just quite ideal. It's very nice. You can see how it's built. It's got a bone nut. Very nice oud. I really enjoy this oud a lot. Now I want to show you a lower quality, cheaper price oud. This is my Zeryab oud, which I bought from where did I buy this? From Morris Oud Shop, run by Mike Malek in California. This is a Zeryab oud, and it's got a cedar top. A little bit rough around the edges. It looks quite nice in this video. You can really, see. I think it's got a mahogany bowl. Nice pattern, the way they put the woods together here. Very nice. It's a great beginner oud. So this is an all-around safe oud for any beginner to buy. The pegs, I think they're like walnut or something like that. They're painted black, so they're not ebony. They're painted black. The biggest complaint I have about this oud, about the Zeryab beginner models, is that the nut is wood, and the nut is not always shaped very good. So that's why I tend to recommend the Zeryab ouds from Ethnic Musical, which I'll talk about soon. They make sure that it's been set up properly. When I got this one from Morris Oud Shop, the nut was quite high. It was not ideal for action and for playability and for comfort. So I had to actually sand it down, which I just did, a handmade DIY job. Not very good, but it did the job anyway. But another complaint about the wood nut is that when you tune it, you get a lot of clicking. So I'll show you. You get this friction happening at the nut, which causes these clicks. So you'd be tuning the instrument, and then all of a sudden it'll click and it'll get too sharp or it'll get too flat, all that kind of stuff. So it's tricky, but it's not bad. It's not a bad, not the worst tuning experience. So that's why I recommend the ouds from Ethnic Musical, especially when you're buying a Zeryab oud, because they're a little rough around the edges. And the varnishing, the varnish job on this is not perfect. There's some spots, but it's great for beginners. Like I played the heck out of this oud, and I really enjoy it. Right now, it's tuned to Turkish tuning. Have a listen. Let me tune this properly here. So this is the Zeryab oud in Turkish tuning right now. Not ideal for this oud, but right now I've got different things. I need to teach some people in Turkish tuning, so I've got my Zeryab oud tuned in Turkish. It's 58.5 centimeters from the bridge to nut, so it is a Turkish scale, a little smaller, so it should be able to handle the weight of Turkish set strings on this, so I think it's no problem. It's been holding up for a while. It's not too high tension, so we'll see how that works out. Very different price points. This oud is around 600 to 700, maybe around 500 to 700, depending on where you get it and what model it is. It's the first model, so it's the cheapest one. The Yildirim oud is being sold for about 2,500 USD, and the craftsmanship is amazing. And then this new edition that we have here, a beautiful apricot wood and cedar oud from Miras Lute. This oud is quite amazing. This oud is going for upwards of $3,000, so a bit different price point. Again, you're paying for the rare ouds, the craftsmanship, just beautiful peg box. It's really aesthetically pleasing, and beautiful ebony neck again, ebony fingerboard rather. Nice mother of pearl inlays. It's beautiful, and it's got the biggest point here that goes into the price of it is that it's got a natural shellac, very thick shellac coat, which doesn't affect the sound of the oud. And it's also got this, which is very luxurious. This is a little forearm guard, which makes it more comfortable to hold. Also doesn't get your oils and sweat into the soundboard of the wood. And it's also hovering above, like you can see a little bit of a hovering over the soundboard. So it's just attached to the bowl here. And so that's very luxurious to have on an instrument. Another great point about this bridge is that it's a saddle design. These days, Iranian luthiers are using the saddle design, and you don't see it on Turkish and Arabic ouds very often. It's more of a modern thing that they're trying. But the Iranian ouds and barbats are using this design, and they get a very clear sound. And the nice thing about this is you can actually switch out the saddle for a higher one or a lower one. So if you need higher action for whatever reason, you can purchase higher saddle, or if you want to lower the action, you can get a lower saddle, and you can just fit that in there. I think Sala Music is going to be offering those shortly. So this oud from Miras Lute, you can order it from salamusic.com, and very beautiful. I really enjoy this oud. It's got a bone nut. The quality is quite amazing. Very different sound than the Yildirim oud. Have a listen. Very nice and clear tones. I'm really enjoying this oud. It's really fun to play, and it's got a different sound. One thing I did notice about the Yildirim oud and this oud, the Miras oud, is that the string distance in the nut is very different. This is much wider than the Yildirim oud, and it's actually really very good. I really like the wideness that they have between the two courses, because it allows for the strings not to touch each other. You know, when you put your finger down on the string, your fingers are going to move the strings. But in this case, they're wide enough that they're not too far apart, so that you can hit them as one. But at the same time, they're far enough apart that the strings do not vibrate and touch each other. So I actually like the wideness that this offers as opposed to the Yildirim oud. It still sounds great, but I can sometimes hear the strings interfering with each other as they resonate. So that's something I learned by these ouds. But I really love the bridge design. You just tie a knot here and feed it through the hole, and then it goes on the saddle like that. It's a great design. I love these saddle designs. And yeah, so those are the ouds that I have here. The ouds I want to talk about today, and I'll answer all your questions. So if you have them in the chat right there, I'll get to them. Don't worry. The ouds I want to talk to you about today are provided by Ethnic Musical, and I'm selling them right now this weekend only with oud learning packages. So if you need to study oud, if you want to learn oud from the beginner basics, or you want to learn takasim, I've got a oud learning program that you can pair it with. I'll explain how it all works, and it's only happening this weekend. All right, 1 second here. Okay, so we've got this is the sales page here. I'll put this in the link for you in the chat so that you can check it out. So I've chosen 3 ouds for different needs. I'll show you how it all works. So all ouds include an oud learning program of your choice, and this offer ends Sunday 11:59 p.m. October 10th Pacific Time US. So these are the ouds that I recommend right now that we've got. For someone who just getting into oud, the classic entry level Zeryab oud. These are great for Arabic style. Nice decent oud, similar to the one that I have, but a more classic design, classic Syrian design. I just had a guy purchase one of these through me, and he's enjoying his oud. And the price includes reliable EMS shipping. So $649 includes an oud for guitarist online oud learning program of your choice. So if you're a beginner oud player, you can get oud foundation levels 1 to 4 with it. It comes with pyramid strings. It's got a beech bowl, a walnut neck, spruce soundboard. Spruce soundboards are nice because they age over time. They get a nice, they're unfinished usually, and they get a nice color over years. So my Dimitri Rapakusios oud is a spruce top, and it's become darker in tone as it oxidizes, and the sound will mature over time. So that's nice about that. You can hear how it sounds here. Let's see if the audio here is working. You can hear this. That's how it sounds. Comes with soft case and 3 risha, and it comes with a net bolt adjuster for adjusting string action. So Zeryab ouds, I'll show you here. Now it's not quite like a truss rod. I'll show you what they have here. There's a little thing that looks like a truss rod adjuster. You adjust it with an Allen key. You can achieve subtle adjustments of the neck. Right now I have it set up at the maximum like lowest action possible. I can't turn the thing very much, and the action is still, it's okay, but it's not as low as I'd really like it. But you get some adjustments, and sometimes instruments of this nature, they warp over time, and the action may bowl. You may get a bowling action, or you may get like an arching action with the neck. And so this can adapt for that, especially under weather duress and all that kind of thing, and the seasons get changed from humid to dry. You may have the wood changing a little bit, so that's nice to have on a beginner level oud. But again, it's not necessary, depending on the price point and the cost of the oud. The higher priced ouds don't necessarily need them. Okay, let's see here. So the second option that I recommend is the Pro Arabic series. They have this one particularly that I like is a mahogany and paduk bowl and a cedar soundboard. So cedar soundboards, they sound great from the get-go. So they don't really change very much over time. They're very sweet right from the beginning. So it's always a safe choice for sound. Really beautiful bowl here. Nice craftsmanship on these ouds. A lot of my students have these ouds. So one of my students who I teach regularly, she's got one of these ouds and she really loves it. She used to be a professional cellist, and so she knows the quality of a good instrument. Really nice craftsmanship for the price that you're getting. So I highly recommend this model there. And the price includes DHL shipping to North America, Europe, Japan, and Australia. Price includes oud learning program of your choice. I'll talk about that. Comes with Kirshner strings, double AA Canadian cedar soundboard. So really nice ebony fingerboard and pegs. Those are really good. The measurement from the bridge to the nut is 60 centimeters. And you can hear how this one sounds. Okay, the next option is a bit higher tier. This is a heavy-duty Purple Heart bowl and a cedar soundboard. The Purple Heart, this wood is quite magnificent in the way that it looks. It's got this purplish red and maroon kind of look, and the whole neck, the peg box, and the bowl of the oud is completely in Purple Heart. Very luxurious. It's a very heavy-duty wood. So it's actually weighs a bit more. These ouds may or may not be a bit heavier. I'm not sure exactly, but it's a heavy-duty oud. So it's good for maybe climates that are very dry, so that's very nice to have if you want a heavy-duty. It's very luxurious type of wood, and the color is going to last for a good 15 years. It may get darker over time, like in 20 years the color may become a nice dark brown. Depends on how they've how treated it is, and they usually change. So these two models here, the Pro Arabic and Pro Arabic, they've been made in Turkey and they're shipped from Turkey. These Zeryab ouds, they ship from Israel. They're imported from Syria into Israel, and so they're shipped from Israel. Now these ones from Turkey, they're using Turkish luthiery. So they're built by Turkish luthiers to Arabic taste. So they've got the Arabic design sound holes for the Arabic tone. They've also adjusted the soundboard a bit to account for Arabic taste. And one of my students has the Turkish version of the Pro series, and he really likes the oud. And he's using it in Turkish tuning. It's great. But these ones are for Arabic tuning, especially this one here, Pro Arabic Oud. This is 60 centimeters bridge to nut. This one is a bit more maximum playability, 58.5 centimeters. A lot of Arabic ouds are still being made to 58.5 centimeters scale length, and that's for playability mostly. But this potentially you could change it from Arabic tuning to Turkish tuning. As long as you put a Turkish set on there, you could adapt it because of the scale length. So if you're interested in purchasing, if you purchase one of these programs, I'm going to email you and ask you which of the following programs you want included in your purchase, and I'll give you instructions on how to gain access to the course. So the Oud Foundation program, this is for beginner player who wants like a year worth of lessons. Oud Foundation 1, 2, 3, 4 takes you up from being a bare beginner, learning everything from the basics of tuning the oud and reading notes, all the way up to beginner intermediate level. The master class, this class is a separate class. This is for somebody who already knows the basics of oud playing but wants to learn how to put techniques and ornaments and embellishments into their playing more, learning, focusing more on tremolo, trills, different hammer-on pull-off combinations. So that's a more intermediate class. You're going to study you're going to study 3 different pieces of music and learning how to put ornaments on them. And so you'll gain the patterns and the principles to apply ornaments and embellishments to Arabic style playing. The Maqam Mastery Program full package, goes in depth about maqams. So if you feel like you're a little bit weak on Arabic maqams and you want to learn a bit more about Arabic music and maqams and improvisation, and especially modulation, then the Maqam Mastery Program, the full package, is what you want to do. If you're a more intermediate oud player and you want to get into taqsim, then you could choose the step-by-step taqsim program. And all of these are like one of these of your choice would be included in the purchase of your oud. So yeah, so that's what's happening. After that, I'm going to be closing this after the weekend, so it will not be possible to get one of these oud learning programs included with the price of the oud any longer. And if you do want to just buy an oud by itself, you'll have to contact me. Reconnecting. Had a little connection problem there. Stay on the Wi-Fi for now. So yeah, so if you want to get a oud learning program with the purchase of an oud, now's the time to do it. If you've been on the fence for a while, want to get a decent oud that you can play from getting right out from the box, then this is what I recommend. If your budget is a little bit lower, I recommend the Arabic Oud. If your budget you want something that's going to last you, for a good 5 to 10 years, then I recommend one of these higher model here. That's a bit better. This oud will also last you a long time, but I think the playability and the sound quality is going to be stronger. The craftsmanship is definitely going to be stronger on these Turkish Pro Arabic Oud series. And the cedar top is gonna be sweet right from the get-go, so you can create a nice sound. Yeah, so that's all for me about these ouds. Check the link in the description and in the chat to learn more about those. And if you have any questions about learning the oud, anything, let me know. Question here about Tunisian ouds, oud Arabi. No, I don't have a oud Arabi. It's a little bit different. It's got less courses, and the octaves are a little bit out of whack. So it doesn't go like they have like one of the higher strings somewhere else, or like one of the lower strings in a different position for their playing style. So it's a bit different technique than the oud. A lot of people who play oud Arabi, they know how to play oud too, but you definitely have to adapt your style if you want to play oud Arabi. I don't have one of those. Yeah, there's lots of videos with with my left hand. Sorry, can't show you exactly very well there. So yeah, any questions that you have about shipping to South America? The ouds that I sell through this website, the free EMS shipping is shipping all over the world, so don't worry about that for this model here. But I'm recommending that you ship with DHL. I don't think we are offering shipping with DHL to South America. But if you do want to go with the free shipping option, you can do that. But I recommend you go directly to Ethnic Musical for that if you want to purchase with the free shipping option. Free shipping option is going to take a little bit longer, and it's pretty good too, but it depends on your country how long it takes. But through me, I insist on doing the DHL shipping. So I'm not offering, if you want to purchase it through me with the oud learning package, I recommend DHL shipping. If you want to get the free shipping option that will ship internationally all over the world, then you gotta buy it directly through Ethnic Musical. And if you want to get a deal on oud learning packages through me later on, I'd be happy to give you a discount. But you have to contact me, send me a confirmation of your order, and email me personally at support@oudforguitarist.com, and I'd be happy to set something up for you. Here, I'll put in my email address. So at ethnicmusical.com, you can get the free shipping option, but I insist on getting the DHL shipping. So for people outside of Australia, Japan, North America, and Europe, you can get free shipping all over the world. That is going to be included in the price, but you got to get it directly from Ethnic Musical. For electric oud, I don't have any suggestions in terms of electric oud. I don't know them very well. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about electric ouds. I don't have very good experiences with electric ouds, but I do like the ouds that they're offering from Ethnic Musical. Ethnic Musical, they really know what they're doing. They're oud players themselves and they're instrumentalists themselves, so they know what it goes into a decent oud. So if you were to buy an electric oud from them, I'm sure any of them are going to be a safe bet. A lot of the electric ouds that you buy from eBay or these random sellers, um, it's kind of risky. You never know what you're gonna get, but I do trust the craftsmanship that goes into the ouds that Ethnic Musical is providing. So I would recommend any of the ouds. You can also purchase any of the electric ouds through me, but you'll have to email me directly at my email address. Let me know, and I can set up one of those for you. Let you know what your options are. So yeah, that's about it. If you have any other questions about anything, about learning the oud or buying an oud, now's the time. I'm here. I'm happy to spend a little bit of time, an extra 20 minutes or so, and talk about buying an oud. I know it's very risky to purchase an oud online, so anything that I can say to help you, guide you in the right direction, I'd be happy to. So, which book do you recommend for beginners? I recommend my Oud Foundation program. It's not a book. It's a PDF manual. It's a PDF book, ebook, as well as video lessons. So it's comprehensive in that. That's what I would recommend. If you actually want a paperback book, there are some options on there. If you check out, just search for Oud Method by Mel Bay. Those are pretty decent options. I think there's a book called Oud Method by Marina Tosic. That is an actual book, but the video lessons that I offer through the foundation program, Oud level foundation level 1 to 4, those are going to take you from bare beginner all the way to an beginner intermediate level. So you start to learn some samai pieces, some samai instrumentals. You learn traditional music like Saluni and Nas, some Turkish instrumentals like Sirto, these kind of things. And so it really gives you a comprehensive instructions on how to play the oud, and gives you lots of exercises that you can use to really get your finger dexterity down. Another question here: is it possible to purchase an oud made by a luthier from a website, or do I need to contact them and have one made? So it depends on the luthier. So everyone's kind of working differently these days. And some of the luthiers these days, like Yildirim, for example, they've scaled up they used to be, kind of a one-man shop. Maybe they'd have hired some helpers, but they're more of a factory luthier kind of thing. They're more getting into the kind of thing like Fender and Gibson kind of scale, where they have, head luthiers like Yildirim, who's doing the soundboard, the fine adjustments and the fine craftsmanship, and really getting that high luthier quality out of the instruments. He can't make a bad oud. So, but maybe the bowl is being shaved down and designed and made by helpers in the factory and stuff like that. So they're scaling up. Other luthiers, for example, like John Vergara in New York, or Dimitri Rapakousios in Greece, or Nazi Gadban in Lebanon, they're like more one-man operations. And maybe like John Vergara, for example, he's a one-man operation. Nazi Gadban, he's a one-man operation. He's putting all his heart and soul into each oud, and you're gonna have to order them in advance, and maybe wait 3 or 4 months to get an oud from them. Nazi Gadban in Lebanon, he may have some ouds that are already built that he's just has for purchase, so that is possible. But like Yildirim, you'll have to order directly in advance. But the ouds from Ethnic Musical they're available. they're made, and the ones that you see on my website and Ethnic Musical, they're ready made to go. So you order it and it ships, and you get it. So that's basically the nice thing about having those. You don't have to wait a long time. If you want to get started now, now is the time to get an Oud learning program with the purchase of an Oud. Yes, that's great. Any other questions you have? Happy to answer. I'll wait for you to get some questions down, and I'm gonna play a little bit of Oud for you here. Make sure my left hand is in the camera here. There's a different pick here. Cow horn. Let's see if there's any other questions. Otherwise, I'm out of here. Okay. All right. Okay, so there's lots of ways to tune the bass strings. You have a question about good question about tuning the bass strings. These are always going to be variable. There's no right or wrong, way of tuning the oud, except you don't want to have you always want to have a consistent fourths tuning for the first four strings, 2, 3, 4. You always want to have it in fourths. Connection problem there. you always want to have it tuned in fourths. These ones are always going to be variable. So for example, you can tune it down to E, this one. You can tune it to F. You can tune it to G. It depends on the maqam you're playing and what resonances you need. So this one's in F right now. I love it because I can play G here when I need the G. I can play F sharp when I need the F sharp, when I'm playing like maqam Hijaz or something. I can play it here too. And all the way down. So it's really convenient for that if you need the bass notes. If you want to play it, tune it to E, then that might be that you're playing in the key of E, some maqam in the key of E or something like that. Or maybe for a person's voice, you'd be playing in the lower register. Also, you can tune this low C string to an A as well if you really want. That would be similar to Turkish Kiz tuning. That's a really awesome tuning. But then at that point, you really have to play everything in the key of A or E. Any maqam starting on A or E. Because the resonance of that lower bass string, it just calls for the tonic or the first degree to be E or A. And so you can also tune D and G if you're playing like in maqams that are based on D and G all the time. So that you always have this open D sounding and the open G. It's perfect for like Bayat or Hijaz because this is G. So it depends on the technique and what you need to do. So there's no wrong tuning when it comes to the bass strings, unless you're tuning it to something wacky like E flat or something. You can't tune it to E flat. It just doesn't make sense. So yeah, you've got a correct tuning. So Sehun, thanks for joining. I'm glad you enjoyed. Thanks everybody for joining me today. Actually, I'm really happy to see you guys here. So what are the differences between Turkish, Arabic, and Persian ouds? Okay, good question. Okay, so it's a long story, but basically, right now, let's talk about ouds right now, the difference between Turkish, Arabic, and Persian ouds. Let's focus on Arabic oud right now. Arabic ouds usually are going to be better for lower tuning. So longer scale length, usually going to be 60 to 61.5. Some old ouds were even built 63 centimeters from nut to bridge. Those are very rare now. They have a different tone. They have a different sound. They may sound more balanced in the mid range. And Turkish ouds, on the other hand, are going to be very bright. You can hear a lot of high frequency and also very bassy too sometimes. They have Turkish ouds have a more nasal quality to them. If you listen to this oud, it has a particular nasal quality. Now, if you listen to the Yildirim oud, it has an even more nasal quality to it. Here we go. But nowadays, Turkish luthiers are making ouds for the Arab market as well. So they're trying to adapt to Arab tastes, and so the tone is very different. The sound that you get out of them are for different things. I find Turkish ouds are going to be a little bit. They say that they're usually a thinner soundboard, so that they resonate a lot more than Arabic ouds. Arabic ouds may be a bit more drier, not as much echo, not as much reverb. Like the Turkish ouds that I've played are very kind of airy, and they've got this sophisticated tone about them. Some of them are very nasal and very bright and very buzzy too. Have a lot of buzz sound. You can really hear the strings because of higher tension. And usually they're going to have a slightly smaller bowl. So the big Arab ouds like the Zaryab oud, they just sound different. Look at the size of the bowl on this one. very bulbous, very round, um, just huge bowl, and very round shape. But at the same time, it has a very rustic sound, like more percussive. It's kind of the difference between a flamenco guitar and a classical guitar. You have different tone. Um, it doesn't really matter what the scale length of the oud is so much as what's going on in the soundboard, the way that the luthier has designed the soundboard. That's really the difference between the Arabic ouds and the Turkish ouds. Persian ouds are a little bit of a mix. Nowadays, back in the, let's say, 30 years ago, you would find Arabic ouds in Iran. And they were very similar to Arabic style. Now, as Iranian luthiers are experimenting and finding their own sound, they're a little bit different. And they have their own quality, maybe more to Persian music tastes. Barbat again is a bit different, but it's all really with the sound. Right now, Persian luthiers are making Arabic style ouds and barbats, Persian style ouds, but they're unique. They have their own sound. Some of them would be really good for Arabic music too. All right. Tuning for 48 centimeter oud. 48 centimeter, that's really small. Can you elaborate? You may need different strings there. A, B, E, A, D. Yeah, that's Turkish tuning that you got there. Tuned A, B, E, A, D. Yeah, so yeah, you could have it there. How long will the strings take to settle? Yeah, they tend to take a long time. You gotta tune it every day in order to keep the tuning. They may take up to a week to 2 weeks, I find. I recently put new nylon strings on the Yildirim Oud, and it's still maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's still giving me a little bit of problems here and there. They're not really holding their tune. It depends on the brand as well. For example, Aquila strings, Niglot strings, they take a long time to settle. Unlike usually I don't recommend those strings for beginners. I usually recommend D'Addario, like you mentioned. So yeah, they can take up to 1 or 2 weeks. I recommend stretching the strings out carefully, especially when you stretch them out like this, top to bottom. Don't pull away from the bridge. Stretch top to bottom. Also, do you have a spruce top oud with you to see the sound? No, I don't. I don't have one, unfortunately. All of them are cedar soundboards. But you can find a lot of oud clips. You won't hear too much of a difference online, unfortunately. And again, the spruce changes over time. So a brand new spruce is going to sound different than a 10-year spruce. Is there any good wood match between soundboard and body? I mean, cedar matches well with mahogany. I usually don't think of those kind of things when I look at ouds. Yeah, soundboard and body. Depends on what people like. I guess it's a very personal preference. I've seen all kinds of things. I really love this design. I mean, this is incredible. The way that they've designed and matched the wood here with the soundboard, just incredible. I really like that. This is cedar and apricot wood, very rare in a wood, in a oud. Let's see here. Could you show us how they tied the strings in the saddle bridge? Yeah. It's kind of hard to see, but basically, you got knots. You got knots there. I'll show you how to do it with a spare string. Got an old set of strings here. So all you do is just create 1 or 2 knots like this. It's hard to see that. You just tie a knot, make 1 knot, maybe 2 loops, 1 loop or 2 loops. Take pliers and hold one end and then pull the other end, and then you got a loop, and then just feed the rest in. So yeah, you just make this, tighten this loop, and that's it. Very easy. Yeah, so if there's no more questions, take a look at the ouds that I've got for sale there if you want to get Oud learning program with it. Yeah, happy to help you if you guys have any other questions. Email me at support@oudforguitarist.com. All right. What do you mean by solid wood or laminated wood? Soundboards of ouds, for the most part, I know that they're solid wood. They're not laminate. They're all like thin pieces of wood, and they come out. They start very thick, and then they create the bowl, and then they keep sanding it down to get the right thickness. Yeah, they're solid pieces of wood, but again, we may have sections on the soundboard to put together to create the soundboard. I don't know exactly how it all works, but if you're lucky, you'll get a nice matchbook kind of arrangement. So yeah, thanks so much. If you have any other questions, email me. I'd be happy to help you out, answer any questions about buying an oud. The sale ends this weekend, Sunday night. I'll send you a reminder email. Thanks so much for joining me. It was really nice to see you guys out here. Very good questions by everybody. So thanks so much for joining. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.